You are not here by accident. We are standing at the edge of possibilities between what is, what could, and what will be. Where time, space, and humanity cross paths. Where the future has stopped being theory as old assumptions fade away and new realities are becoming real. Are you ready to step beyond the familiar? Look no further and enter the third horizon.
Before we begin, in the last series, we followed a long road. We explored cohesion, adaptation, wisdom, complexity, morality, and the forces that shape civilization. But as that journey came to an end, one truth became impossible to ignore. Every path led back to the human being. Not just what we build, not just what we believe, not just what we organize, but who we are, how we think, how we choose, how we treat one another, and how we respond when pressure rises. That is where this new series begins. The Third Horizon, Human Fault Lines. This series is not about structures. It is not about government design. It is not about policy mechanics. Those conversations matter. But this journey moves deeper. Because before humanity can understand the future, before it can shape its destiny, and before it can reach for the stars, it must first understand itself. Throughout human history, one question has followed us. Across every age, across culture, across every civilization. Why do we struggle against ourselves? Why do we repeat the same conflicts, generation after generation? Why are human beings capable of extraordinary compassion, creativity, sacrifice, and achievement, and yet also capable of cruelty, division, deception, and destruction? For thousands of years, humanity has searched for answers. We have looked to technology. We have looked to wealth. We have looked to knowledge. And we have looked to power. We have looked to circumstance. And each of these things can shape the world around us. But beneath them all, there is a deeper variable. The human being. Our choices, our fears, our desires, our instincts, our virtues, our weaknesses. Because the future will never be determined only by what humanity creates. It will be determined by the character, wisdom, and behavior of the humanity creating it. Here on the Third Horizon, we explore the long view. Horizon 1 is survival. Horizon 2 is growth and stability. Horizon 3 is the future humanity is capable of becoming. And across all three horizons, there is one constant: human behavior. The same human qualities that allow us to build families, communities, cultures, and civilizations can also become the very qualities that divide, weaken, and destroy them. And that raises a deeper question. What are the patterns of human behavior that repeatedly move us away from our highest potential? And now, a word for our sponsors.
This episode of The Third Horizon is brought to you by CoinToss Coffee, a brand built on passion, family, and the bold leap into possibility. Every blend is handcrafted from Kevin's own recipes, including their best-selling Cowboy Roast, bold, smooth, and unforgettable. And right now, listeners of The Third Horizon can enjoy 10% off their order at cointosscoffee.com using promo code Horizon10. That is cointosscoffee.com. CoinToss Coffee. Take a chance on a better cup.
In this series, we are going to examine what I call disqualifying factors, not as labels placed upon people, not as a way to assign blame, and not as a claim that some people possess these patterns and others do not. Because the truth is more difficult to accept. And that is that every human being carries the capacity for either construction or destruction, for either wisdom or ignorance, for either compassion or selfishness. The question is not whether these tendencies exist. The question is whether we understand them well enough to recognize them, control them, and prevent them from guiding our actions. These patterns are not new. They have appeared throughout history. They have appear in individuals, in relationships, in families, in communities, in cultures, and across entire civilizations. Different people, different times, different places, same human patterns. To understand them, we will examine 6 major human fault lines, 6 disqualifying factors that appear again and again throughout the entire human experience. And now, another word for our sponsors.
This episode of The Third Horizon is also brought to you by FCA, Fine Consulting Agency. If you need high-level policy analysis, structured research, or strategic writing tailored for government, space governance, or nonprofit sectors, FCA delivers clarity, organization, and deep insight. Learn more at fcaonline.info. That is fcaonline.info.
The first disqualifying factor is cohesion breakdown, the gradual loss of trust, connection, and shared understanding between human beings around the world. The second is truth distortion, the human tendency to replace reality with comfort, convenience, fear, or personal advantage. The third factor is short-term dominance, the struggle between immediate desire and long-term wisdom or long-term responsibility. The fourth is empathy suppression, the loss of our ability to recognize the humanity, dignity, and experiences of others. The fifth is power misalignment, the temptation to replace personal status, control, or protection above the greater good. And finally, the sixth disqualifying factor is meaning collapse, the loss of purpose, responsibility, and connection to something greater than ourselves. Each of these can appear in small moments: a conversation, a relationship, a personal decision, a family disagreement, a community dispute. But when these patterns multiply, their consequences expand. Trust fades. Truth becomes less important. Immediate desire replaces wisdom. Human connection weakens or becomes completely disconnected. Control replaces service. Purpose disappears. And humanity begins to move away from its greatest potential. This is not merely a lesson from history. It is a reality of the human experience. Every generation faces the same challenge: the challenge of mastering the parts of human nature that pull us backward, while strengthening the qualities that move us forward. So, in this series, we are not going to simply identify these patterns. We are going to ask the deeper questions. Where do they come from? Why do they repeat? What allows them to grow? And most importantly, how do human beings overcome them? Within ourselves, within our relationships, within our families, within our communities, within our cultures, and across generations. Because if humanity is to reach the third horizon, the greatest journey is not merely outward, it is inward. It is the journey of understanding ourselves and admitting to ourselves that we are flawed. Next time, we begin with the first and perhaps most fundamental of these human fault lines, which is cohesion breakdown. Why do human beings separate from one another? Why does trust disappear. And what allows us to build the connections that make human flourishing possible. This podcast is not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. This podcast is about understanding what holds us together when everything around us is under pressure. If you are someone who senses the world shifting, if you feel the tension between what is and what could be, if you believe humanity is meant for something more, then welcome. This is the Third Horizon. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. More conversations are coming, deeper, wider, and firmly focused on the future. If you enjoyed today's podcast, hit the like button, let us know in the comments, and subscribe to our Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook channels, or whatever platform you are listening from. And do not forget to share this podcast with your friends and family. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and beyond. And one note that these Human Fault Line series is most likely going to be a little shorter than the episodes that we did before. Okay? And that's just the way they're designed. So just letting you know they're going to be a little shorter. And as I said before, until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and beyond.